Don't you just love that dramatic part when the puddle, live the life you choose, comes on?
That's it. The big drama.
Well, hey, it is Amazon Prime Days. This is day 2, and it's kind of like the final quarter here, and we're putting Russ Hedge in.
Saving the best for last, right? Almost last, not quite.
Almost last, yeah. And so we've got Russ here, because now we did do Russ came here as a part of the author interview series earlier for the book Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, which is in the carousel, and I'm gonna highlight the book there. And he now has a companion workbook, which brings some practical steps that people can apply. So as they go through the chapters, they're able to kind of work some stuff out. And so I asked Russ if he would come back, especially during Prime, because I want to make sure that people are aware of the book and now of the workbook and the practical stuff. So with that, Russ, welcome to the author interview series here on Amazon Live on Prime Days. So go ahead and tell people who you are and what's going on in Russ's world.
Well, first of all, Scott, it's always a blessing and just a privilege to be with you. You're such a good friend, and what an honor to be on Amazon Live on Prime Day, or one of the Prime Days. I'm feeling special.
There we go. Yeah.
So that's good. I'm feeling encouraged today. Now, I am a positive, upbeat guy. I've been that way my whole life. I grew up in a wonderful family. Graduated from Oregon State, married my beautiful wife, have a great family, and have always been a positive influence to people around me, because that's what I love to do. I love to give positiveness and encouragement and bless people, especially because I've been so blessed in my life. And so, back, I don't know, how long has it been now, Scott? 1.5 years, 2 years ago, you and I sat down to coffee and started talking about, well, you started encouraging me, hey, you need to write a book, and among a lot of other things. And so, but as far as the book is concerned, at first I was like, I never thought about writing a book, honestly. I hadn't. But then I started thinking, you know what? I can't be around to encourage everybody. I can't be around to make everybody smile or put some inspiration in the lives of people everywhere. So maybe a book is a good way to help accomplish that, along with podcasting and live streaming and things that you and I do as well. So yeah, it was great. So I started the outline to that book, and it was interesting this year, 2020. There's something special about that year. I'm trying to remember some big event that happened. About the time I get the book outlined, you what?
Just sounds good. 2020 sounds like maybe I stumbled.
Yes. So about the time I got the book outlined, this crazy thing called COVID happened, and so my wife was the big encourager that told me, this is a great topic. You have time now. God has created space for you to write voila. So I started writing. So that's all about me building up to the writing of the book. And then it was less than 5 months later, I had the book written and going through the editing and publishing process. And so very exciting. So I'm glad to have a little slice of me in book form. Here it is. There it is. Oops, there it is.
There it is. Yeah. Befuddled, live the life you choose. I encourage people to click on the book in the carousel, edit your cart, but you can get a little preview on there. And as we go through today, we'll extract a little bit from Russ's brain on what's between the covers there of Befuddled. It's interesting when you talk about it was about 5 months that it took you to write the book, and it's in so many cases that's the question. As they ask the author, how long did it take you to write the book? And
right.
The writing a book, okay, so you did it in 5 months, but really there's Russ's lifetime that's packed into that. The experiences that you have as a sales and marketing professional that you can't get, honestly, you couldn't just get in 5 months anyway.
No. Well, you're exactly right. It took a lifetime to develop the content for this book. I know it took me 5 months to put it down, only because the process went pretty smoothly for me, because first of all, my book is what they would call a micro book, meaning that it's 144 pages, and it's in a really nice, easy, readable format. But also because I had lots of time to work on it and develop my new business during COVID. And I took, when everything changed in our world, I took it as an opportunity to do some great things. And, there's been ups and downs. There still are with all that I'm doing with my business, but it's been more ups than downs, been more positive than negative. I have continued to develop a great mindset around all that I'm doing. And so this content that took it took a lifetime to develop, that's what I love about the book. And what I really love about the new workbook that we're going to talk about today is that it gives people, number one, a little slice of me. So who is Russ Hedge? What am I all about, right? So little stories about me. And then it gives some practical steps of what people can do. I mean, there are things that I encourage people to do or I have done. And I don't think that there's a cookie, that there is a stamp, one way to do things. So mine are ideas and practical steps to be positive, right? But it doesn't mean everybody has to do it my way. But hopefully the way that I did it will encourage others to be positive, get a good mindset, and do positive things.
Yeah. And it's research out there is saying that there's some health benefits to this positive outlook. And so it's not just about putting on the clown's painted smile. There's something about when you actually physically smile, that there's some chemistry that goes on.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I love to make, me, Scott, I love to make people smile. I was actually facilitating a meeting earlier today, and I love to throw a couple funnies in and, make people chuckle and smile. And that's just the kind of person that I'm in. I like to bring joy to people. I feel like God has given me so much joy in my life and purpose that I want to share that. And so, it's been really a blessing, the whole process and getting the book out there. And then I've been able to do a lot of great things with it, besides obviously being on Amazon and all the online booksellers. I've been able to get it in bookstores and been able to do book signings. I got another one coming up this weekend. And so that's a lot of fun too, to be able to get out and talk to people in person, kind of talk to them about my whole idea of the book and what I think it can do for them. And so, it's been really, really good.
And that's you're a natural educator, just who you are by your personality, and having been a people manager, managing folks in the sales and marketing area. And attitude is so important. I know that anyone who's ever gone through sales training, and especially anything that's telesales, they say, even though you're just on the phone, they tell them, smile. All those sales reps in the back of or customer service reps, they're saying, smile, because the people on the other end will notice whether you are or not, even though they can't see you.
Yeah, you can hear a smile. That's a really good name for a new book. I should write another one called that. You can hear a smile.
I love that.
You can though, and Scott, it's interesting. So a story that's not in my book, but from Oregon State, is I did telemarketing for the foundation at Oregon State when I was there, and I was very good at it. And a big reason I was good at it was because I usually called and did my best to make people smile on the other end or feel comfortable. I didn't just ask them for money. And there was one of my favorite times was we used to have to call to get some numbers corrected on the database. And so I had to talk to information and online. You used to call information to get a phone number on the telephone in the good old days. And I would love it because they were so just, serious and, oh my goodness, they'd give you the stuff and boom, you're off the line. I would engage them in a conversation and get them talking. And sometimes they were only supposed to give me one number and then let me go. Sometimes I'd get one person on that would stay and keep giving me number after number because they wanted to talk. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun to be able to engage people in that kind of a format, because it's harder when you're not face to face with them to really get them to engage and to feel good on the other line.
Yeah, that's a great skill set. And so you were able to take these different techniques that you had effectively used yourself and translate them into a book. And so the book came out, and it's been a great success. And it has led to a lot of, as you said, speaking engagements and teaching opportunities, some coaching opportunities. And tell us about the workbook, because how did that all come about? And if I've already got the book, should I get the workbook, or what do you think?
Absolutely. Actually, you should especially get it if you've already got the book. So really, I have learned the benefit of listening to people that are way smarter than me, like D. Scott Smith, and like the editor I had on my book, people that started saying, hey, you should do a workbook to go along with this. You should pull out some of the highlighted action points and really engage people in a workbook format. So I did. I just actually listened to other people, and I'd like to take credit for everything I've done, but usually I just pay attention to people that are a lot smarter than me.
It's all about collaboration. I just want to say, I'll give a shout out to Matt Rouse at Hook SEO. He says, hi, Russ and Scott. Nice to see you. So he is typing in from Nova Scotia.
All right.
He's there at his home office. So great to have Matt join us here as we discuss this. Yeah, it's so collaboration. I mean, that's I do some collaboration with you. I do some collaboration with Matt and a number of the other folks, because it's just the way you can be more effective.
Well, and you can. Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to two people that were a huge help, and then I'm going to give a little story. The people, Joy Montgomery, who was my initial editor out of the Bay Area, and Jordan Marsland, who was my graphic artist and ultimate formatter of both my book and my workbook. They were both a super blessing, because they knew a lot more than me. I didn't know how to format the book. I didn't know how to get it in a good form. I mean, there was so many things I didn't know that they really helped me out with. And I think the bottom line, the biggest compliment I've got from my book, and the workbook is a similar format, is just it's very user-friendly. It's very readable. You open it up, you can get little nuggets of real value just by looking at a page or two. That's what I was going for, to make it real easy for people. But the story, as far as working with people and learning from other people. You know, every day we go out there, we can think we know it all. And I came out of college, Oregon State, thinking that I knew it all, right? I thought I
Got a
was all
bachelor's
that.
degree, right? So
Yeah, I thought I was all that. And we'll just suffice it to say I took a job in the mailroom of the company I interned at because I wasn't quite as all that as I thought. But I saw the value of working for a good company and being on the ground level. So I did that. I moved up to office manager after that. And when I moved up to office manager, I started to get a little bit of that pride back because I was in charge of a lot of stuff and a lot of money. And then only to realize I didn't really know all that and I needed help. I needed people to collaborate with me. So what I did is I brought in a whole bunch of people from the outside for my computers, for my supplies, for everything that I needed that knew a lot more than me. And as they worked with me and helped me, not only was my office extremely happy with what I did, they thought I knew a whole lot more than I did. I didn't know half as much as they thought, but I was just collaborating with good people that made me look good. And I learned that lesson early, that if you have enough to just humble yourself and realize there's so many people that know more than you do, but that want to help you and work with you, then that is such a blessing. And Scott, you and I have both encountered that this past 18 months during COVID. When you collaborate with people, the online community has been outstanding and a blessing of people collaborating together. A good share of the people that we have never met in person, me especially, you've met more than I have, but a lot of people that I have never met in person, but are willing to help, to work with me, to collaborate with me, and they enjoy it and they want to help. And that's what I love about it. It's just a blessing and a really great spirit.
And that's what, you made that transition from being an employee to having a side gig to being a full-time entrepreneur without, I'll say, a primary job or a day job or any as an entrepreneur myself, I hate to call it a real job because what I do is real work too. So anyway, and but you were able to make that transition, and I just, again, I really want to encourage people that if they don't have a side gig right now, to go ahead and find something. Think of some problem that you've solved for somebody in the last few months and ask yourself, do other people get paid to do this? Because if so, you probably have a good basis for a side gig at least. And then it's a great way to channel your passions. You can get some extra money into the household. I mean, that doesn't hurt. But you can have fun along the way. And I encourage people to look into it. Yeah.
That's the key right there. Have fun along the way. Enjoy the journey. And let me tell you, I'll be completely transparent, right? I am still in the infancy stage. I can't hardly say that word, of my business. And so I have, I'm like everybody else. I continue to learn and grow and struggle and have successes and have failures. And, I can make myself seem bigger than life, but I'm still really working to build from a financial standpoint my business, right? I have been able to collaborate and work with incredibly successful people. I have felt completely full of just blessing and significance and things that I've been able to do, but I'm still building and growing, and it's a struggle sometimes, but I am a person that wants to persevere and move forward and continue to make greater things happening. I'm a big believer that the money part follows the right actions. So you continue to do the things that are blessing, helping, and serving others. It will come back to bless you. And I'm just waiting as we're coming out of COVID. I'm so excited about the opportunity to do more speaking engagements, to motivate people, to encourage people and inspire them to do that in person, not just on the computer, although that's been a great avenue when we couldn't go out. But there's so many great things that are coming up, more people that I can inspire and help as far as coaching and consulting in their businesses. And that's really the reason, Scott, back to the main topic we're talking, that I wrote the book and that I wrote the workbook, is because I wanted it to be something I could utilize in helping other people. Through the book, I can inspire and encourage them. Through the workbook, we can go over the practical steps. They can stop. I always encourage people to get in small groups and do this workbook together. So if I was speaking to them or doing an actual workshop, I would work through part of a chapter and then have them work in small groups and go through and actually think about some of the questions. Is their life really filled with purpose? Are they really living the life they choose? Are they really developing? Are you watching today really developing the habits that are going to improve your life and move you in the direction that you want to go? Well, if it's not working that way, then you need to stop and look inside yourself. And you need to start thinking more deeply about what you can do, what changes you can make to make things go the direction you want, to make it so that you can live the life you choose, because there's nothing worse than having to go through life just punching a clock and just going through the motions to make money, because that's not what it's all about. That will not produce significance. No matter how successful financially you get, you will never feel value. You will never feel purpose. You will never feel significance if you're not doing it from your heart with your passion because you love it.
Right. Matt has a great comment here. This is about the side hustles, saying they're the birth of an entrepreneurial spirit and for a lot of people to expand their horizons. And so I'll say when you took that on, you really expanded, because 6 months or a year before you launched into this entrepreneurial journey, even as a side hustle, there was no way you would have said, I'm going to have a podcast and I'm going to do these live broadcasts multiple times per week. I'm going to write a book, then I'm going to write a workbook, and then I'm going to be doing these workshops and seminars in businesses, doing them virtually. But you did choose that direction, and this is an important thing that I want to dive into your book and the workbook a little bit about this, because there's some research out there that was called the end of history illusion, and basically that we underestimate what we're going to do into the future. That is how much we're going to change. We can look back and we can clearly identify how much we've changed 3-5 years ago, say. But today we think, nope, I'm going to stay the same. I'm going to eat at these restaurants. I'm going to watch these kinds of programs. I'm going to have these kinds of hobbies. But 3 to 5 years from now, we'll probably have changed a lot. But we think that we're at the end of our history, that we're not going to change anymore. But 3 years ago, we thought the same thing. That means that all of the change that happened 3 years ago to today has been unintentional. That is, I didn't choose. And so when you ask people, oh, how did you get to be doing whatever it is you're doing, a plumber, an accountant, whatever it is that they do, whatever hobby they have, and you ask them, almost invariably, and I encourage people to try this, they're going to start with, well, it's a really interesting story, which means they weren't intentional about it. And that's why I love Befuddled, live the life you choose.
Right. Well, it's all about intentionality for sure. And the first person that really kind of woke me up to that was Dave Ramsey, when I was being very unintentional with my money. And my beautiful wife and I learned a lot, and we learned how to get our finances more in the direction we wanted to be going, and to get out of debt and do all those things. There's a quote by Simon Sinek. I don't know the entire quote, but I use it in my workshops, about how most people live their life on accident, like you're just exactly what you're talking about. And if we really want to fulfill our purpose and live the life we choose, we have to be intentional, and we have to be focused on what we really want to do. You can't, my normal tendency, Scott, you know me well enough, is to fly by the seat of my pants and just, woo, let's go. I just like to let it happen, right? And you just can't do that if you want to really accomplish great things. And if you want to be all that you can be, doesn't mean we have to be so regimented to the point where we are just, major type A personality, but we've got to develop habits that create positive paths in our life to move the direction we want to go. And if we want to bless and help other people, we got to make sure that all that we're doing is moving us that direction. And that is where I became more intentional, I developed more habits, which I talk about in my book and we cover in the workbook, developing good habits, starting with the first thing in the morning that are going to get you on the path that you want to go on. And that starts with the habit of how you think, the habit of how you set the stage with your mind to move forward with your day. And that's so critical.
You're exactly right that those habits, rituals, routines, however you want to describe those, are important. And when we entered into the COVID pandemic lockdown last year, a lot of people lost their routines. They were disrupted. And so that was very disconcerting. Now, all this time later, we've reestablished new habits and routines, and yet the world is reverting back in a way. So we're losing some of these again. So people are again kind of disconcerted with what's going on. And so I want to ask, because befuddled, besides being just a fun word to say,
it is fun.
There is some meaning behind this. And so how did you name this book Befuddled?
Well, of course, you know the story because I've told
it. I do know. That's why I want you to tell it.
You've had to sit through it how many times? No, it's really, first of all, the fact that it is kind of a fun word and it's unusual really speaks to me because I am kind of fun and unusual. But there you go. But it's I am definitely the live the life you choose guy, right? That is my personality. One day though, but I am completely like my wife calls me a Pollyanna. That's me. I'm a happy, upbeat Pollyanna. That's me in my life, right? I'm the male version. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a Disney movie. And I'm always, everything is great. Everything is happy. Everything is good. That's my attitude. So anyway, one day I was a little out of sorts. I was running late for a meeting. I was rushing out of the house and I was forgetting things and dropping things a little out of it. And my wife goes, whoa. Are you okay? I said, I'm fine. Everything is good. I'm good. She goes, no, really, are you okay? Because you look kind of befuddled, she said. And I said, no. I'm not befuddled. I'm fine. And so I got in my car, waved goodbye, took off, and I'm a mile down the road. And I think, I'm completely befuddled. Befuddled. And so I just got to thinking about that word. I mean, it didn't take me long to think that is an awesome title for a book. And then I was thinking, because most people are living life on accident, they are befuddled, they're out of sorts, they're lacking purpose, drive, intentionality in their life, instead of living the life they choose. And people tell me all the time, Scott, you just can't think positive and make everything good. And you know what? They're exactly right. You can't. You can't just think positive and think that everything is going to be good. I'm a firm believer. I'm a man of faith. So I say, God said in this world we will have troubles, and we do. We have struggles. We have troubles. We can think positively till the cows come home, and we can still trip, fall, break our leg, and go end up in the hospital. We can. Great, loving people have bad things happen to them, but we also get to choose what we do with every single thing that comes at us, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. We get to choose the mindset. We get to choose the attitude. We get to choose our perspective on how we look at it. So if you want a better life, why not choose the good things, right? Because you already know what's going to happen. Good stuff, bad stuff, whatever. It's going to happen. So why not pick a more rosy, happier mindset? Now, my one thing in the book that I talk about that you and I have talked about, Scott, and that is my start to the day, my training of my mind, the habit I've developed before I get out of bed and my feet hit the floor. I tell myself when I wake up in the morning, and I'm one of those early morning guys, 4 to 5 a.m. every morning. My eyes wide open, and 4 o'clock, I'm wide awake. So what I do is I first tell myself that I'm thankful. I'm thankful and blessed for God, for my beautiful wife, for good friends like D. Scott Smith, and all that I've got going. Then I tell myself, I've got this little pep talk. I have the talents, abilities to do what I want to do. I've got it. I've got this. And then number 3, today is going to be awesome. And when I tell it to people, most people look at me and say, yeah, I can't say that. I can't say that early in the morning. And I'm like, it's okay. You can do whatever you want, but this is what I do. This is the pattern that I'm showing you that I do to develop my positive mindset. I call it putting on my awesome filter, because we filter life through something. So why not put on your awesome filter and filter it through something positive instead of something negative every morning?
Right. It was, we live less than an hour from the Oregon coast, which is just a spectacular spot. There are people who save up their vacation all year and their money so they can come and spend a few days where I get to live. So I feel very blessed and fortunate. And it is one of my wife's favorite places to go. Now, it's the Oregon coast, so the weather can be unpredictable. Yeah. And it was a few trips ago that my wife and I were driving back from having spent a day just walking on the beach and going to some restaurants and whatnot, and just hanging out and spending time together. Well, I said, how is it that we get so fortunate every time we go to the beach that we get good weather? Well, she reminded me that actually for most of the time that we were there, it was kind of windy and rainy. But that what I remembered was that time where the sun broke through, it stopped being so blowy, and we were on the beach. And that's the part that I focused on. And I was thinking, oh, you're right. So your attitude is huge. And I would like to talk a little bit, because mindset is so important. And there are a lot of books around it. And I'll say there's a lot of really hard books. But if people were to say, you know what, I really need to straighten out my mindset. I want to be like Russ. I want to start my day off on the right foot. Tell us a little bit about your book and the practical stuff that people can do. Maybe give us a little hint.
Sure.
That somebody can actually do on a practical basis to live the life they choose.
Yeah, what you put in your mind, you are choosing what you put in your mind. And the phrase that my mom used to always love to tell me, garbage in, garbage out. If you're stuffing garbage in your brain, there's going to be garbage coming out. And so what is so important is to choose what you're allowing yourself to take in, right? What I mean from that is, there's a lot of really bad stuff you can take in, and you should stay away from that. But stuff that everybody looks at as pretty normal, like the news every day. I'm a firm believer that find out what you need to know, because you don't want to bury your head in the sand, but don't watch the news. That's just my belief, because I think most of it is very negative, very draining, very exhausting, and sets a really negative mindset. Now, like I said, there's stuff that you do need to know. And with all the technology we have nowadays, I can do a couple Googles and find out what I need to know. And I don't have to sit there and watch it for hours on TV. So I choose, and again, this is just me. These are just ideas that I give people. I choose to stay away from news. In my book, I talk about staying away from social media and staying away from the internet when you get up in the morning, because what that does is it just inundates you with what people are telling you you should think, what you should do, what is happening around you, which, obviously we know if it's on the internet, it's obviously true, right? Right. So, yeah. So, I mean, there's so much garbage that you need to keep away from yourself. A really good example for me. So as the day goes on, I do like social media, and people will tell me, man, I am off I'm not going to use any names. I'm off this social media because it's just a bunch of garbage and everybody is horrible. And I say,
Right.
really? I don't really see a lot of that. And they go, how can you not see it? Because I don't pay attention to it. I
Right.
purposely filter it out. I'm very
Hmm.
intentional about what I look at and where I go on social media and what I do. I don't just scroll through and look at everything, right? And so the whole point there is whatever you are feeding your mind is what's going to end up coming out of you. So I'm a lot like you, Scott. Of course, I've been blessed with a beautiful wife who normally it is pretty good at the beach when we go. I always joke this because God loves her so much. He opens up the skies and we have blue sky every time we're there.
I'm going to use
But
that next time we go there.
yeah, and I've got actual picture evidence of that. I want you to know I've taken picture evidence of the sky opening up when we get there. Anyway, there's been times, there's been at least a handful of times, and all the millions of times we've gone to the beach over the years, that it has been rainy and nasty. But you know what? It's got its own beauty. And I always look at it like, hey, this is great. Maybe it's not, you can't get a good suntan when it's pouring down rain on you, but there's lots
We shouldn't be doing that anyway.
yeah, that's right. But there's lots of good things you could do. So, it's
Yeah.
all how you look at things. It's all your perspective. And in order to start
Hmm.
the day with a good perspective and a good mindset, don't shove a bunch of negative things into your brain to start the day.
That is such a great practical thing. I stopped watching the news or focusing on the news about 2.5 years ago. And turns out I really haven't missed anything. There's so much, we talk about things that you have control over and things over which you have no control.
Right.
And most of the things that we hear in the news, there's problems because good news doesn't sell papers. So it's always tragedy and hard things. And they're all things over which we have no control. I can't change the weather. I can't change what happened in a traffic accident. And it's, there's, we're going to be hitting the 8 billion people on the planet mark sometime soon, 7.5 billion or wherever we're at right now. That's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
And Dunbar's rule says we can manage about 150 relationships. So I need to focus in on that 150 people, like the Russ Hedges of the world, and my wife, and my kids, and my neighbors, and that 150 is going to fill up pretty fast. And those are the people that I can care about.
Right.
Not that I'm unconcerned for what's going on in the world, but the things that I have control over is what I need to focus on.
Exactly. And isn't it Jim Rohn that says we are the sum of the 5 people closest to us? So
Yeah.
we are choosing the environment we're putting each other in. I was huge with that with my kids growing up. Choose the right environment for them to be in because you're going to become that environment. And, let me just give you a little story to wrap this up because I know we're about out of time, but I was going to use a story for people that are working in their life, which we spend a good share of our time doing at a job they don't love, are miserable in life in general. If you're living from weekend to weekend and paycheck to paycheck and not enjoying life, it's going to make you miserable. And you can see that in business when you are going into service businesses. And I'll give you an example of a big chain. I'm not going to say the name, and a small local business. I go into the small local business. It happens to be a friend of mine and his wife that own the business. It's a restaurant. It's actually a bakery restaurant. So you go in, you order your food. They are full of joy. They are walking out into the lobby of their restaurant, talking to people while they're waiting in line, engaging them. I always joke that they ask me if I'd like a foot rub and a back massage while I'm waiting for my pastry and my sandwich. I mean, it's that kind of service. But you leave there loving life, okay? As opposed to the box store, the big, large store that I went to the other day, actually 2 of them, 2 different stores, where I asked them if they could help me. And they said, well, they say we're out of stock, but they say we got some in today. And I said, would you mind going to check? And they said, no, I can't. And they walked away. That was the service I got. They walked away and they were talking to another employee. They were complaining to me about another employee. They were complaining about the company they were working for. What does that tell you between those two scenarios? It tells you that the first couple are living the life they choose. They're doing what they love, and it shows in what they do. I have a workshop called Purpose to Profit, and what that means is when you have purpose and passion and you love what you do, you're going to profit from life. Whether it's money or whether it's just great things, you're going to feel significant in your life. The people at the big box stores hated their job, didn't want to be there, were only there because they were getting a paycheck. And it showed in their performance, their productivity. And ultimately, those companies will suffer in profits because the people don't care what they're doing for their job. So if you want a significant life, if you want to live the life you choose, get my book, get the workbook, and then get out there and develop some good, intentional, practical steps to living that life that you want.
And I'll just tell, get the workbook and go through because we read so many books. There's so many books on the shelves. We listen to podcasts. We get all kinds of helpful information. But how much do you actually apply? And that's why I was really excited to bring you on and share your workbook with the folks here on Amazon Live, because it's not just, oh, well, that was interesting information, and then they leave and they're the same. I think the benefit, the transformational benefit, is if you actually put pen to paper, if you actually go through and do these exercises.
Exactly.
Because that's how we learn. I mean, that's why in grade school we're writing all these essays and we're doing math problems on a piece of paper, because we need that mechanical aspect to help lock it into our brain and make those transformations.
Yeah. And it's the magic of writing things down. That's why I love journaling. So currently the workbook is only in ebook form, but it's set up very easily. You can go through that and then you can just have a piece of paper and write that down. You don't even have to print that out. The book comes in both paperback and ebook form, but the workbook currently is just in ebook form. But you can go through it very simply, jot down the answers, talk about it in a group, and it will give you so much more benefit from my life experiences and my mindset in life. And hopefully my prayer is that you will be blessed. You will feel more encouraged to get out there and be intentional about your life and live the life that you choose.
Well, Russ, time goes fast, and we've kind of run our time here. Thank you for being generous with your time and joining me here. And I know that people that click on the book, take a look inside, order a copy, get the workbook, put in the work. If you can, do it in a group. Get several of you to get the book and to go through that, because there is that collaboration opportunity again, right? And it will keep you accountable, and you will keep that other person or those other people accountable. So set this up as a little book club. Get the Befuddled, Choose the Life You Live, and the workbook. Russ, everyone can get a hold of you by just going to russhedge.com.
Yes.
And
please
find you on LinkedIn.
Me.
LinkedIn, I'm sure.
Please connect with me. Russhedge.com has got all my links, and you can connect directly, schedule time on my calendar. Please go there, connect with me. I'd love to add value to you. Thank you. Sorry.
All of that contact information is in the book. That's the best place to get it. And so with that, I'm just going to put this back up here. We have been talking with Russ Hedge, the author of Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, in both the book and now the brand new workbook. Please take advantage of this. Mindset is so important. There's a lot of complicated ways to do it there. Russ's book is simple and easy to go through. You will love it. And thank you, Russ. I'm going to sign us off. And everybody have a great day.
you.